Alright. So I did this guy yesterday. So let's see if it was correct. So I'm going to start from scratch. Okay? Just to show you how actually easy it is. Because my project is easy as well. Yours may be a bit more complex. This one is an easy project. So I'm going to start by this floor plan and then make copies along the way and reuse the material that I'm also building up. So I'm going to start from this corner. And if you remember how I did this, I basically went to background bitmap and did place. I chose that file. I opened it. Now it's not in scale, right? And I know the measurement of the house, so I know this wall is going to be 4 feet. So I went to, we need to make sure we are working in the same units. So I'm right now working on meters. So I went to Tools, Options, Units to set my model units to meters. And that's all good. Now I go to View, Background Bitmap, Scale. Now I come down here, choose this corner, choose this other corner. I'm using Shift to snap to the orthogonal direction. If you want that to be consistently snapping, you can turn on Ortho under here. And that will snap to orthographic directions, X and Y axis all the time. Now I'm going to choose this corner, which is at 3.85, and I'm going to enter 4. Enter. Now I'm basically telling Rhino that I want that line to be at 4, and it's snapping to the 4. And then I left click, and the scaling is done. Right. So now if you want to make a measurement, you can just use the polyline tool again, and just don't even have to draw a line, but you can just use that floating value at the bottom. Right. This value here. This value. Where it says meters, that's where you will see the values of measurement. And that's what I'm using basically. Now I'm going to go back to background bitmap, move from this corner to 0, 0, 0. So now I can start drafting this. And the way I started drafting it was basically started from 0, 0, 0 and then went by 4. To the right, left click, to the up, 4. Left 4, and I can enter C to close. There's a function here to close the polyline, or I can just click on this point to close. It's the same thing. So now I got my outer wall. This is actually supposed to be 395, but I entered 4. It's okay. Then I'm going to do an offset. So I'm going to choose this guy, type in offset. How do I know what the offset value for the wall is? First of all, if I know the value, I can directly enter it under distance. If not, I can click on distance here, and to enter the offset distance, I can start measurement from somewhere along this line, and then draw a line here, and then read the measurement. It says 0.25, so that's what I'm going to go with, right? So I can enter 0.25, enter, and it's going to snap the measurement line to 0.25 length. And to confirm it, I'm going to left click. Now my distance is entered, 0.25. Now I can offset. So now if I choose the inset again, I can offset my walls by 0.25. Now I'm going to do the windows. I'm going to choose everything, going to explode it. I need to extend this line here. So I type in extend. What does it say? You always follow these instructions. Rhino is asking you for something, some operation, and if you've just followed the instruction, it's a lot easier to get intuitive about it. It says select boundary objects or extension, line extension length. Well, in this case, I need to select the boundary object, which is this guy. Once I do the selection, it says press enter when done. I can hit enter, I can hit spacebar, I can right click, it's the same thing. Right click. Now it says select curve to extend. I'm going to choose this guy, and the curve is extended. Now let's put this window. I'm going to type in offset again. Now I don't know this measurement, so I need to measure it. Type in distance. Let's see what that offset value is going to be. So I'm measuring 0.28. Let's go with 0.3. So I'm going to go offset. D is shortcut for distance. 0.3. Enter. This wall 0.3. And I need another one here. So let's do it again. Offset distance. This measurement is, let's say, 175 or 0.15. Let's go with 0.15. Offset distance 0.15. This is offset. The second offset is going to be 0.3. I want the windows to be consistent. So I got these two lines. Now they need to extend to this line. I type in extend this line, right click, extend these two guys. Now I need to clean this up. Trim, select cutting objects. My cutting object is this line here. Right click, select object to trim. I want to trim this line, and this line. Right? So I basically found the location of my two windows. And the nice thing is, this wall is 0.25, then the window is 0.55, then the next window is at 3.3, 360, 375, 4 meters. Everything is on kind of a nice measurement, right? Nothing is on a floating value. Everything is precise. Okay? I'm going to keep doing it. Same thing. Now I need to find this wall. I can also find this wall by for the stairs. Offset distance from here to there. Let's say 0.575. 575. Enter. I found that point. Offset again. Distance from here to there. 0.15. I found the second one. Now the second offset is going to be 575 again. Offset distance 0.575. Okay. Right, I found that guy as well. Offset distance 0.15. Well, 0.15 is too much. Let's do 0.1. Right, I found that wall as well. Now I need to find the corridor width. Offset distance. The corridor width is also going to be the door width that I'm going to use. So let's go with 0.7. Offset distance 0.7. I found that wall. Offset distance 0.1. I found the thickness of the wall. Okay? So now this line needs to connect here. This line needs to connect here. How do I do it? Extend. This is my boundary. Confirm. Extend. Extend. Now I can do trim. Trim. Select these guys. This is going to be trimmed. This is going to be trimmed. This joint is going to be trimmed. This joint is going to be trimmed. Okay? Same thing on the other side. Extend. This is my boundary. I can also enter multiple selections by using the marquee. So all of them are extended. I don't have to click one by one. Same thing with trim. I can choose multiple guys and then do the cleanup with the marquee. Right? Because it's enabling me to do multiple entries in a single click. Now that's basically how I got the outlining structure. I'll find these locations the same way by measuring offsets. Offset distance from this point to this point, 0.6. So that's where my landing for the staircase is going to be. And then let's find the next location for that wall. 1.3. That's the next wall. And now I have to find this one. From here to there, 0.55. That's that wall. Offset distance 0.1. Now I know all the walls are 0.1 thick, so I can just enter those values automatically, right? I can do trim, choose these guys, and clean it up with the marquee. This is cleaned, this is cleaned, this line is cleaned. These guys are going to be cleaned. These two are going to be cleaned. This is gone as well. This side is going to be joined. This side is going to be joined. Now I have some work to do here. I need to find this line as well, which I could do by extending this guy and do trim. So I found this guy as well. This is probably the same line, so I can extend this guy as well. Trim. This is deleted. Now my doors are 0.7, offset distance 0.7. This guy is going to go up there. There's going to be a door here, another door there, another door there. They're all 0.7. So let's see what I had from yesterday. This guy was 0.75. So I can scale this down, or I can model another one. I went with 0.75 yesterday. We can do 0.7. The way to do that would be to use scale. If I do scale, I can use this point as the center of my scaling. Now I'm going to do first reference point. I want to choose this opening, which is at 0.75, as my first reference. Now this is on dynamic scale, so whatever value I'm going to enter, that's going to be that value, right? If I enter 0.7, now that value I used for reference is set to 0.7, so the whole thing is shrinked according to that proportion. Now I can bring this guy and place it here. So I'm an ortho, that's why snapping is hard. If you want to put this here, you can turn off ortho and then place it there. Right? So my door is in place. Now I can do trim, choose these guys, and delete them. Right? Now I have my door in place, the opening in place. I need a rotated copy of it here, another rotated copy of it there. I need to find this window. I need to find these walls, another door here, stairs, and pretty much that's it with this plan. Then I'll do the next one. Then the next one, then the next one, right? Any questions? I'm doing it fast because that's how you will become once you keep doing the same operations. All I used was trim, extend, offset. That's all I did. Was it? Okay. Yeah, I recorded all of it. Yeah. Yeah. So that's how I did my plan. Alright? I'm going to do the same thing for my section. So let's do the section. Now I can create a new layer here for the section. Section slabs. Right? And I'm going to give it a name, cyan. Double click and switch to that. Now, for the section, it will be important to find the levels first. So my ground level is somewhere here. So I'm going to draw a horizontal line. Now I'm going to do an offset again. What's my floor height? So let's measure it. So my floor height is 2.1 meters, something like that. So I do offset distance 2.1. So this line, offset there. Again, offset distance 2.1. This guy over there. Again, this guy over there. Again, this guy over there. Now, what is this distance? Let's find it out. So this guy is going to be 1.66. Offset distance 1.65. I found the top line as well. Right? So I found all the levels with equal measurement. Now I need to find the slab thicknesses. Offset distance. What is my slab thickness? It's 0.2. So I enter offset distance 0.2. I offset this guy. Right click to repeat this guy. Right click to repeat this guy. Right click to repeat this one. This one. Okay? Right click repeats the same operation. Right? So I can, if I did offset, I can hit right click to run offset again. And it's enter as well. So you can get fast at using right click. Left click is mostly selection and enter to enter values. Right click is to execute and repeat. And offset distance 0.2. Well, this is a bit thicker, so let's do 0.3. 0.3. So I found that guy. Now I need to close this up. So I can come down here, Let's find the measurement. You can also do it this way. If you want to do it as a polyline, you can trace the image, but always enter the numeric values correctly, right? So I'm going over the image and always reading the value. What does it say? 0.15. Let's say 2.2. I go down 2.2. Let's see how much we have to go left. 0.1, right? 0.1. Go down. 0.35. Yeah. Go right. How much? 2.3. I don't know. So there's going to be an angle here. I don't know the angle, so I'm going to go straight instead. 0.25. Now go down. 0.15. Go right. 1.5. Go up. 0.5. Go left. 0.1. Now go up. That's it. Close. Right? So now I can come in here. Since there was a segment, I can grab an endpoint. Right? And then draw this diagonal. And I can do a trim and delete that. So I can clean it up afterwards. Now I can do the offsets. I'm going to explode this. Offset, distance. This guy, 0.2. This guy is going to be 0.2 as well. This guy, 1.5. Okay? That's it. Trim. I'm cleaning these up. These lines I don't need anymore. So that's my basement. Alright? I actually made it straight first. Since I included this segment, I could grab that endpoint, so I added the diagonal line afterwards. Okay? And now that I have some of these geometries, I can reuse them. Like I can draw an extension line here. And that extension line is going to be this side of the wall, right? So I can offset that. 0.2. So I can find that offset. And then I can do a trim. So I can clean this up. Because these are going to be joined. This is trimmed. Well, this extension I need to delete. I need to find this offset again. Distance here, 0.75. Offset distance 0.2. Reuse the values. Once you know the thickness of the wall, just keep entering it. Once you know the opening of the door, just keep entering it, right? You're rounding stuff anyway. Just get fast at it. 0.2. Trim. These guys, let's trim them up. Use the marquee to do multiple trims, multiple selections. Right? That part is done. Now I have to find this line. So this guy is going to extend here. Now I have to find what this cantilever is. So I can make another extension from here to here. And I need to find this value. So if I do an offset distance, let's find that value. I think it's 0.8. So I can enter that. Now I found that line. Right? So I can do extend. I want to choose that line and then extend this line to it. Now I know this boundary. So I could do another trim. Choose these guys. Delete here, delete here, delete here, delete here, and delete those. Marquee enables multiple inputs, right? So I can delete multiple stuff at the same time. These guys are going to be deleted as well. And I'm going to delete this guy as well. And I can clean up here. That's basically the outline of my section. I got everything in a rounded, accurate number, as well as got the outline. So now I can keep adding detail. I can add the windows. I can add furniture elevations. I can add the doors. Okay? And same thing goes for everything else. Elevations would be easier. Why? I can technically grab this guy, Let me show you how you can do the elevation easier. I can select this guy, type in mirror, because I know this is the view from the other side. This already gives me the outline. I can just mirror this thing, place it in the right place, and just get rid of the floor slab, and just keep the outline, because that's the geometry I can reuse anyway. Right? Yeah. Just type in move. So I know there's a little canopy here. This line needs to be connected, so I can do an extend to this line. I can connect them. I can connect this to this wall. We don't have the basement anymore, but we have the ground line. So the ground line needs to be longer, so I can add more lines here. And I need this side to extend to that. Right? And this guy comes in here. Now this line and this line need to join. How do I join them? Use fillet. Radius 0, I want to connect this guy and this guy. And they will both extend and connect. Fillet. Fillet. Now I can do trim. Now I basically got the outline of my elevation as well. All I need to put is the windows and these horizontal divisions for the concrete. That's all I need. Yeah, so basically, let's say there's a line like this and there's another line like this. If I do fillet, it does trim extend at the same time. And it can also round them up as well with a radius value. So if when the radius is 0, you can get a sharp corner because there is no rounding. But if I enter a radius value, this is actually the point of using a fillet is to make a round connection at the end of two lines. If I do by 2 meters, then I get a rounded connection, right? So when that's 0, it's a sharp connection. That's basically the trick. But so this is kind of the essence of like the drawings you need to prepare. Like the sections would be prepared this way, elevations will be prepared this way. But the point is they need to overlap, they need to coincide in dimensions, right? So when I grab this drawing, this plan, let's find out where the section is drawn from. From the corridor, if I make a copy of it and bring it here, then rotate, I actually want to have these values to be the same. Right? So my plan was drawn at 4. The section is probably 395. That's why they don't line up. But I want you to line them up. Okay? They need to line up. Alright, so let's say, how should I fix it? Should I... you know what? First, let's trace the drawings. Then I'll show you how you can do the stretches really easy. Okay? Just get these outlines, get these overall proportions, values correct, so that you can use them to enter information. Then you can check if the section is lined up correctly, if it's the right dimensions. You can make those adjustments later on to cross-reference your drawings to each other. All right? This plan? Yeah, basically, I reuse the section to generate the outline for the elevation. Then what I would do is basically put these on different layers, because that's what we're going to do next in Illustrator. We will use different layers, different line weights. So elements in front will be darker than elements in the back, so they need to belong to different layers. Same thing for the section. Cut elements and elements in elevation, they need to be different line weights. So you need to arrange those layers, basically. So every object that I drew here on my section was under the section slabs, which are structural elements, right? Everything else I would draw in the elevation would be on another layer, because I know they're going to be lighter. I'm not cutting through them. They're not structural elements. right? Like windows will be on another layer as well. Okay? Yeah. Oh, this image? But this is already drafted on, like, available online. So I'm just going to show you what your files should look like before you bring them into Illustrator, right? This is a floor plan. So look at the layers. These are walls. It's in Spanish, it's muros, but basically walls, stairs, furniture, windows, and there's a section line with some letter on where the location for the section is. And there are 4 floor plans that are consistent. So the location of the section line is consistent on all of them. And that section line, that section is actually this drawing. So the structure elements, the floors, are the same layer as the walls. You guys see that? And the windows are the same as in the plan. Because technically, when we are cutting through something, even if we are cutting on the plan or in a section view, we are basically seeing the same material in a different orientation, right? So it should be on the same layer. So when we give them a line weight, whatever the line weight is on the plan for the walls should be the same in section when we are cutting through them. And same thing goes for elevation. So these elements, like furniture, stairs, the ones that are behind our view, further back in elevation, they're on a different layer, so they will be lighter when we apply them in elevation. Okay? And when we do elevation drawings, the principle is similar. The closer elements to our view will be darker, and the ones behind will be lighter. Okay? And the ground line will be thicker because we are cutting through the ground. That's like a thick element. It's an important element. And in this file I have 4 floor plans, 1 section and 3 elevations. You have to do just this, half of it. So 2 floor plans, 1 section, 1 elevation basically. Alright? I just want to show you the organization for these drawings. Like layers. So stairs could be on another layer, furniture could be on another layer, floor hatches should be on another layer, right? Floor hatches will be really light elements when we do them in Illustrator. And don't forget the section line, section location for the plans. But here's the thing. You can turn some layers on and off, right? It's if you have used any other CAD programs before. I mean, this is something we're going to be doing quite a while. So for instance, let's say I want to look at only my walls on my floor plans, so I want to hide everything else. I need to find the layer they are placed in. So in this case, it's called muros, which means walls in Spanish. So that layer is this layer, muros, right? If I click on this button, it will turn that layer on and off temporarily without deleting the objects. It's just temporarily hiding it or revealing it. The lock next to it locks the objects in that layer so that I cannot I cannot select or delete them or edit them in any way because they will be locked. So let's say you drafted some elements of your floor plan and you don't want to damage them, you want them to stay as they are. You can just hit lock and lock them, and then keep working on other details like windows, doors, floor tiles. But the other thing you can use in layers is if you want to isolate a layer element, like these walls, you can right click to the layer that you want to isolate, and then come down here, do invert selection, and it will select all the layers except that layer, and then you can hit the light bulb so that everything that is in other layers will be hidden, and you will only have that layer isolated in your viewport. Now I have some other stuff in that layer. I'm like going through this file and like arranging them, but if you see, those are in the same layer as well. I'm going to put these into another layer as well so that we will only see the wall layer. Okay? And you can do this the same way. So I can bring in, let's say, payments or text or other stuff, other objects from other layers. Yes? Huh? basically their display color is overwritten. Right? Their layer is the same, but their display color is different. It's just the way this file is arranged. I'm going to just fix it and then show you how your file should be arranged. Alright, let me finish this guy. Ground lines, walls. So I'll show you the difference. So for instance, let's say this is my condition for the wall, right? And I'm going to use fillet. I want this line to connect to this line, and I want these two sides to go away. When I run fillet command, I want to set the radius first to 0 so that the corners are not rounded. And it says select first curve to fillet. I'm going to choose this guy and this guy. But the side of the curve you're selecting is also important for the fillet, right? So if I choose this side and this side, fillet will do this instead. The side you're clicking on the curve is the side you want to preserve, right? So if I want to preserve this line and this line, I need to click on this side and this side. Same thing here, this side and this side. So that will do the fillet operation. If I click on this side and this side, it will do the fillet the other way, because the intersection goes two ways, right? Let's say we have an area, something like this. Okay? And I want to do a floor tile, vertically and horizontally. I'm going to choose another layer for now. Let's say this line. I'm going to type in array. Array basically creates a grid, like a copy of things. So I'm going to choose array. It says select objects to array. I'm going to choose that line. Number in X direction, it says. Number in X direction, just 1, right? I want this to go in Y direction. So in X, it's going to be 1. In Y direction, let's say we want to have 40. Z direction, 1 as well. And now it's going to ask me for the Y spacing value. Let's say we want the Y spacing value to be something like 0.2. And then it says press enter to accept. I can make a copy of it, but basically I need to enter more values, right? So I can do it again. Array. This is the first line. X direction 1, Y direction, let's say 60.25. No, I mean, there's hatch, but, well, actually, this is new. Let me see. I actually want you to use array as well. Can you open the door? Let's do a hatch. Let me see. Well, you may not be able to find the type of hatch you want. That's the thing. Because you're tracing the floor plan, it's better to do arrays like of the parallel lines. But there are some available here that you could use as well. And you can also give them custom rotations and scales. But let's say the one you showed me was like gridded. You can use the hatch command and choose. You have to have a polyline that defines a clear boundary. So it's like it doesn't recognize the boundary necessarily. You should have a closed polyline, and then you can choose one of these hatches. Right. So let's say we want to use most of the time the square tiles. And then I can choose the pattern scale here. So I can make them larger. So 3 is probably 3 units in my scale. So if it's in meters, this could be 3 meters. And you can also give a rotation. So if I do 45, it could be diagonal. I mean, you can use this one if you want to be quick about it. Otherwise, if you have a custom like hatch, you could also do the array command. So you could do a line, type in array. Normally we use these to do like grid lines that are parallel. And then you can enter a value in y direction. So I want to stack like 60 of these, and then I can enter the value 0.2, and I can do one vertically. So I can draw another line, do another array in the x direction this time 60, y direction 1, 0.2. These are basically lines. The other one was hatch. These are individual lines. And if I do a trim, I can choose trim, cutting object as my boundary line, and then I can trim all of these guys and clean it up. I can do it this way as well, right? So this is array. The other one was hatch. Hatch. Select the boundary. And among these, just use these guys. Just use the parallel lines and the square tile. So see, like, if you need to like up the scale or do the rotation. Some of your files have 45-degree rotation, and the tile sizes are a bit larger. So you can set them up here. Just use this one and hatch one. Hatch one is basically like wood slates, right? So this will be most of the time 90 degrees, so you can do vertical or horizontal. Okay? So go to Google hatch patterns for Rhino. Additional hatch patterns to download. The first link. Download the zip file. Did you get it? Open it up. Additional hatch patterns to download. Rhino. Zip file. Extract the contents and rename hatchpatterns.txt to hatchpatterns.pat. So we need to change the file extension. So you open the file, the zip file you downloaded, extract it to your desktop, just drag it out of the folder, and then this is the file. And you should click on it, rename it, or you can right click, type in rename, and just change the extension from .txt to .pat. And it will prompt you a message. If you change this file name, the file might become unusable. You want to change it, yes, so that the sign should change. Okay? Once you do that, you have a new pattern file that you could use. Then what you need to do is come in here, go to File in Rhino, Properties, all the way on top, Document Properties, Annotation. Click on the plus sign. Are you guys doing this? If you're not following me, you can just follow these instructions on this page. These are the instructions. Just follow these instructions. Okay? Just follow these instructions. That's all I'm doing. And then go to Annotation, Hatch, go to Import, and choose the file. Hatch Patterns. Open. Hit OK. It says there are some overlaps. You could do yes to all and hit OK. Now, if I do a hatch, I have more patterns available. So I can have brick patterns as well, hexagons. I mean, you're not going to use probably 90% of it, but at least you will have brick there. and fishbone patterns, some parquets for maybe floor hatches. There's, I think, parquet somewhere. Here, parquet. And the scale is pretty large, and you can adjust the scale to use these. So the brick is here. Brick flooring 2x1. Okay, so you can use brick. So if you have a condition like this, like your name was? Rebecca was asking me. So I have a patio here with some hatch. Right, so if I want to put a hatch here, I need to have the boundary as well as these objects selected, so that I could, like take them out of the hatching. So basically I need to create a boundary here, something like this, a close polyline, and then I choose that polyline. Let me close it. So this is my polyline. Then I also choose these furniture and then type in hatch. Well, these guys didn't recognize them. Okay, they're not. Let me see if they are joined. Let me do it with just a table. So you could choose this guy and the table, and when I hatch it, you have to input those multiple regions so that the inner guys remain as hollow, right? So they're not hatched. So you need to input it that way. I think this was 1.5, something around the scale. And this will be under a layer. So let's put that into floor hatches, pavements layer. Now I need to make sure that I can also get these guys. Let's see, explode. Okay, that's recognized. So if I choose these now, yeah, I have to explode and join these, but basically I could also have an outline for the furniture I don't want to be included in the hatch, right? Because the furniture will be over the floor tile, so I could hatch the in-between area. This command is actually faster in AutoCAD because you can just click on the area and it recognizes the boundary automatically, but in this case we need to provide the boundary so that it's computed fast. Okay, so I'm going to just assign this as my pavement. Now I want to show you a little bit of Illustrator, so that you can have some printed drawings for tomorrow for a pinup. So let's say you have finished some of your drawings. Let's say floor plans or elevation or section. Let's say I'm going to go with floor plans for now. My drawing was drafted in meters, so if you look at my units, it's in meters, and we want your drawings to be 1/8 inches equals 1 foot in scale. So what I need to do first is, after I have drafted my drawings, I need to convert them into feet, right? So I need to change my units to feet. So I go to Tools again, Options, Units, and I'm going to change my model units to feet. I'm going to hit OK. Now Revit is going to ask me to scale the model, which you should say yes, because it's converting from meters to feet. Now 13.4 meters has become 43 feet, which is kind of roughly the same, right? So now what I can do is go to File. I'm going to export these drawings. I'm going to do Export Selected. I'm going to choose my floor plans. Right click. And it's going to prompt a file editor for exporting. And I'm going to write floor plans. And save the type as Adobe Illustrator .ai file. I'm going to save it. Now this page is important. This is where you will preserve or place a scale for your drawings. So I want to have 1 foot equals 1/8 inch, which is basically 0.125 inches. So I'll enter those numbers here. And the rest you don't have to change at all. If this is not selected, normally it comes in the snapshot of the current view. You don't want to do that. Then you won't have preserved the scale. You want to preserve the model scale, so you can enter the values here. And I'm going to hit OK. Now my floor plans will be saved as an Adobe Illustrator file. Okay? Yeah, you can basically group them as well. So now I can export this guy individually. I can export my elevations individually if I want to. I can export them separately and bring them in separately. Adobe Illustrator. Let me do another one. File, Export Selected again. I'm going to do these two and this guy as my elevations. Elevations. Save. 1 foot equals 0.125. Hit OK. I'm going to do another one. This guy is my section. The same scale. Okay? So I have 1, 2, 3 files on my desktop. Floor plans, elevations section here. These are my files. Yeah. Are you doing export selected? Do a template file. You should download and open it. It should be under T-square. So go to T-square. Under resources, there's template file. Template folder, you don't have it. I know. I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to merge your section today. I forgot to do that. I'm so sorry. Downloads. You should get it. This file, media modeling template. Now, when you open it, you should get something like this. Okay, so let's. How many of you have used Illustrator before? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so quick intro. So in Illustrator we have, it's going to be a similar interface with Photoshop as well, or with any other Adobe products. We basically have toolbars on top where we mostly use change the stroke and line weight options. Illustrator is mostly used for vector based graphics, so we could assign line weights, shades, styling, filling to graphic objects basically, and this is where we would do the line weight adjustment for our drawings, right? So we will prepare an abstract file with different layers, and we will bring it here and assign different line weights or line types to different layers in Illustrator, and that's something we cannot do in Rhino. So this is where we will prepare your printing files for your pinups basically, and the file I have given you has the template, the 12 by 25 inch sheet that you'll be using for your pinups throughout the 5 weeks. And if you want to see the dimensions, you can go to document setup here, click on the document setup, and click on edit artboard, and this will show you the current artboard that we're using. And if you look on the right top, you will see the dimensions of the artboard. So right now our width is 25 inches and our height is 12 inches, right? If I want to create a second artboard, maybe I need more sheets for drawings, right? Because for this assignment you would need more. You can just go onto this drawing, go onto this artboard, hold your Alt key on your keyboard, click and drag, hold Shift as well, hold both Alt and Shift. Shift locks it to orthogonal displacement, Alt copies the artboard, and you can create a copy of the artboard. Now this guy is located at X is 12 by 5, Y is 6. This guy is located at 19, so there's an inch gap between these two. Now I can make another copy here, and this one we can readjust. Maybe the width is going to be 12, height is going to be 25 this time, so I can make a vertical one, vertical artboard as well. I can have vertical artboards if I want to. I can edit their dimensions here. If I want to delete them, I can just select and delete them while I'm in the edit artboard option. I didn't rotate it. I made a copy and I entered dimensions here, custom dimensions. So my width is 25, height is 12. I just changed them. You press the Alt key. You should see the double arrow on your cursor. So anything you click and drag will be copied. Okay. So to exit it, you basically switch to the selection tool here. If you switch to the selection tool, you can exit it. Now, one of the most common tools you're going to use will be the selection tool, the fill and stroke here, and the layers. Layers are located here on the right side. Layers, this is where you will have your layers. And stroke will be located here. Stroke and layers. So I can disconnect this guy and click and disconnect this one as well. So they are kind of like free-floating menus, right? If I want to put them back, I can just click and drag and drop them here. So they will be located back there. So you can kind of customize your interface. Now basically what I want to do is bring in a drawing here and show you how you can edit the layers or select objects through the layers you have created and kind of play around with the line weights of the drawings. Okay? So I'm going to open one of the files we just exported. So let's export, open the floor plans. This guy. Any file you opened should be fine. It says there's some text. I'm going to do update. So my plans are right there. Yeah. No, I just double clicked on the file I exported from Rhino. Just double click it. Tool. Okay, sure. This is the file I exported from Rhino. Double click. Yeah, it just opens it in Illustrator. It's an Illustrator file. It will open it in Illustrator. And my drawings are here. So I'm doing Control A to select them all, and then I'm just moving them somewhere here. We're going to copy and paste them to the other file anyway. but I'm just bringing them. The important thing is to have this information here, where different layers you have created in Rhino are assigned to different layers, where you could edit their line weights, right? So your walls should be clustered under the same layer. Your windows should be clustered under the same layer. Furniture, overhead, voids, windows, doors, walls. So any type of different element should be under a different layer. And just giving them a different color helps for the selection as well. So you can do that. Let me see something. Bring this to your file, to your template file. You choose everything. If you do Control C and then Control V, I actually, before doing that, you need to enable Paste to Members Layers option under this tab. Under Layers, click on this arrow, drop down. You want to choose Paste to Members Layers. If this is unchecked, when you bring them into the template file, the layers will not be created. And you will have hard time selecting those objects on different layers to give them line weights. So you need to, if you're not seeing the layers, it's basically you need to assign, you need to choose Paste to Members Layers option here under this drop down. Okay? So choose this one, Paste to Members Layers, then choose the objects, Control C, Control V. Now my drawings are brought in to my layout. Yeah. Selection tool, the first one on top, on the left side. This is my tools option. The selection is all the way on top. I just chose everything in a marquee, or you could just do Control A to select Control All, select all basically. Now I have my drawings here. I'm going to move them around a bit. Okay, so I'm kind of moving the drawings. You can use the arrow keys as well for adjustment, or for orthogonal displacement. You could just select them and just click and drag, hold Shift for orthogonal displacement. Yeah. Something in the objects. So if you're having trouble with moving, select the objects. You should look at my cursor. When I'm over an object, the cursor changes, and you want to see that change to be able to grab, click, and drag. If you don't click and drag over an object, it will prompt you to a marquee selection, something like this. You want to click over an actual object to be able to drag it. Okay? When I brought my plants, these became as fills, some shaded objects. I'm not seeing the patterns anymore. It's basically Illustrator is not recognizing them as vector geometry because they are grouped. What you need to do is select every hatch you make, and then you have to explode it into geometry. And once you do that, it's no longer a hatch. So you should do it before you import them into Illustrator. Okay? So I'm doing that to all the hatches I have in my file, and I'm going to import them again. So this one needs to be exploded. This one needs to be exploded. This one needs to be exploded. I pretty much exploded all of them. Now what I'm going to do is just export it again as a single file this time and call it drawings. And preserve the scale. I'm going to bring them again. So I'm going to delete these. Open up the new file. My drawings are here. So I'm going to start with my floor plans. So I'm going to choose my floor plans, Control C, and then Control V here. Bring them in. And since we are using the same layers, same objects, you can just isolate like one of those drawings on the canvas and just assign the line weights to that, and then all the others will be updated simultaneously anyway. So you don't have to do your layout before you assign the line weights. You can assign the line weights first and then do the layout. Right? So now I have basically the hatches in place. Now how do we do line weights? Let's talk about that. Now first of all, in my plans, the walls are going to be the thickest elements, right? Because they are structural and they're cut. So I need to give them a thick line weight. So where are my line weights? If you go to this template file on the left, I have given you a lot of geometry and a lot of information about what you should be using for your layout and for your graphic adjustments to your plans. So line weights are already assigned here. So I have different line weights, and you can I'm going to show you how to use the eyedropper. You can just grab onto these geometries to copy properties from it to the Illustrator file, right? I have also given you some other objects like cone of vision, displacement, direction. These you're going to be using for your diagrams, which we will do tomorrow. You're going to work more in Illustrator tomorrow. You're going to assign section marks to your plans, dash lines for overheads, maybe fills, maybe dots again, or these plus signs for your diagrams. For maybe columns, you want to show column grids, you could use plus signs to represent each column location, right? Because you're doing a diagram, diagrams are more abstract. You don't show the actual geometry, you show indication of it. I'm going to talk more about it tomorrow. And your text is already set. You're going to be using Garamond style text. And you can either use normal text or bold. And these are the sizes: 50, 40, 35, 30. And you should be using only these. Okay? So, how do I assign a line weight? I could do, let me bring in this guy here. I want to choose all the walls in my file. How do I do that? I come to layers. I'm going to click here to choose all the elements in that layer. So these are all my walls. So I'm basically accessing all the elements in that layer, and they're given to me as a selection, right? And what I'm going to do is, once I have all the walls in my selection, I'm going to go to the eyedropper tool and then click on this line here. Now if I deselect, my walls, line weights and thicknesses should be changed. They should be having this line weight here. I'm going to do the same thing to these. So let's go to pavements. I choose the pavements through the layer. And then come in here, eyedropper. Choose this line. And the pavements should have that property copied to them. If you want, I can zoom out a bit more so that you could see. For instance, furniture. I click here to select all the furniture elements. Eyedropper tool is here. Shortcut is I. And then furniture, it needs to be thicker than the pavement. So it's going to be 0.4. I click here. My furniture is updated. What else? We have windows and doors. They're going to be thicker than furniture. Eyedropper tool, 0.8. Okay. Overhead, eyedropper, 0.2. And this one is voids, so I can click on this one. I can make them 0.2 as well. So I'm basically assigning line weights and properties through the layers and through these objects that already have some of those properties built in. Now, I have one more thing here, which is the zero layer. Let me make those light as well. So I'm going to come in here, 0.2. I have something really thick here. That's parapet wall, and they should be really light as well. So I'm going to do them 0.2. So the relationship is something like this, basically, if you zoom in. The structural elements, the cut walls should be thicker, or the thickest elements on your drawings. The hatches, the floor tiles, they should be thinnest, because they're going to be really dense elements. Then the next cut elements are walls and doors, and they should be the second thickest, right? So the walls are the first, second thickest are windows and doors. And then the third one is furniture, basically, right? So think of how we are looking at the floor plan. We cut through the building, we are cutting through the structural element, so we are seeing all of those elements already cut, so they should be thickest because we want to indicate that they are cut. And then we are looking down. So the first thing we see after that is the furniture, and then we see the floor tile, right? So the floor tile is actually the furthest away from me in my view when I look down on the floor plan, right? So in this case, stairs could be thinner as well. So I can select these elements, or just directly select them here, and I can make these type of decisions. So maybe these, if you want to assign them a specific line weight, you could also go up here. It's right now 1 point. I want to make them 0.2. I can make them lighter, right? So I can assign line weights like this, customize my drawing. And the main point of assigning line weights is the hierarchy, right? Separating structural elements, cut elements from elements in elevation, elements that are further away from our view. So what does it mean to be further away from our view? For instance, if I'm doing an elevation drawing, so I'm going to work on this guy. Let's work on this one. I'm going to bring in an elevation. Actually, let me bring all of these. Yes? You had a question? Okay. Yeah. Oh, when you brought it in, it was all in one layer? So you need to go here to this tab, to the file you open, and you want to enable paste remembers layers. Paste remembers layers. If this is unchecked, when you copy paste it, it will be clustered under a single layer. Okay? So I'm going to bring my elevation as section this time. So I come in here, Control Paste. Now I need new artboards for these, right? So I can go to the document setup, edit artboards, and I can create a new artboard here and enter width 25 and height 12 for that. So I can create additional artboards for my drawings. I can make copies as well. Maybe I put these two, well, they're not going to fit there, so maybe I could do one elevation there, and I can do this guy here, and maybe I can bring in this guy over there as well. And if you want to line up these drawings, you could like try to, use the keyboard to do small pixel adjustments and then once they're horizontally aligned, you could hold onto your shift and then move them horizontally apart from each other so they're kind of separated. Now I don't need this one. Yeah, the keyboard's to nudge, basically. Okay, so now I'm going to do the assignment for the sections and elevations. So what's the darkest element in section? It's going to be the ground, which is this layer. So I have ground lines here under a layer, so I can access them here and then give them a line weight. Let's make them 2 points, and I can make them black in stroke. Okay. Now the second darkest thing is going to be the structurally cut elements, which are these walls and slabs, right? So where do I have them? I have them here. Walls and slabs. So my line weight for them is going to be 1. And they're going to be black. Okay? Now, all these elements are in elevation. So they are actually further away from where I'm cutting the building. So they should be lighter in view. So they should be under a layer as well. So if I choose one of them, it already shows me which layer they're under in. They're under elevation light layer. So I can choose them from here. And I can make them black in stroke and line weight. Let's go with 0.2 and see how that looks. Right? So that's kind of already establishing a graphic representation of what is cut and what is seen in elevation, what's further away from my view. Right? That's basically the essence of these drawings. What are we cutting? What is darker? What is darkest? And then what are we seeing? And how are we seeing it as well? So if there's an element that is closer to us in view, that should also be thicker in line weight. Right? It's the same thing, same hierarchy for elevation. So this building is actually pretty straightforward. But what I could do is, I think these walls are further behind than the bridge. Right? So I can actually choose the bridge and make it darker. So give it a thicker line weight. So I could come in here. I wish I had it in another layer, but if you don't, you can just try to select it with a marquee. So this is kind of all the objects that I have in the bridge. But I'm also getting some other elements. So what I'm going to do is use the shift to deselect those elements so that I can isolate only the bridge. And I have one more element here and one more element there. So that's my bridge. So we assigned 0.2 to these elements in the back. This one is going to be darker, so let's make it 0.4. Right? So it comes to the front immediately because I'm establishing that graphic relationship between the elements. So these elements are cut. This is the closest elements. The bridge is the closest element next in line, and then I'm further seeing the walls in the back. And if you have patterns on the facade, they should be the lightest. Pretty much like how I did the pavement in the floor plan, right? So my elevation wall patterns, they should be 0.05. And everything should be grayscale, so everything should be black. I have one more thing here, which is elevation outlines. The outline lines in elevation, they should be thicker as well. So these should be, let's go with 0.6. Because they define the boundaries of the geometry, right? So that's kind of what I'm first perceiving in the elevation. Then I'm seeing the fill. And then if there are elements in the back, like these elements, they are secondary. They could be lighter. Okay? So since everything was already in layers, when I'm doing this over one drawing, all the other drawings will be updated simultaneously. So that's why keeping consistency among drawings and layers is important, right? So that you can assign or reuse the same layers for each floor plan, reuse the same layers for each section, for each elevation. And then once you bring them in Illustrator, you can just look at one drawing and assign the line weights, and all the other complementary drawings will be updated simultaneously. Okay? So this is basically the essence of preparing these files. And what you should also do is, again, if you need to write text, I can create a text object here. Let me do it again. I can create a new layer. Let's create a new layer for us. So if you want to create a new layer, you can come in here, create new layer. And this is going to be text. And then while in that layer, I'm going to go to the toolbar here and choose text tool. And then write, I think this was a ground floor plan. And I'm going to write scale 1/8 inch equals 1 foot. So I want this to be, let's use the eyedropper again, 40. And let's make the scale light and the drawing title dark. So I'm going to use the 40-point bold here, so it's not darker, right? So the drawing name stands out than the secondary or tertiary information, so we can put hierarchy there as well. And then what I'm going to do is select this. You can do justification here. On the top, there's paragraph toolbar. You can align it left, align it to the middle, or align it to the right. I like them aligned like this, to right, justify to the bottom right of the drawing. Okay? Now I need also another indication here for the section line. And you should include this mark as well on your plans where your drawings, where your section drawing is drawn. And you should replace it with the section marquee I'm giving to you here. So you should just grab, let me see, they are grouped actually. If you right click, you can ungroup it, and then you can bring in this guy here. So this is kind of an abstract representation. So it basically, the horizontal line is the connection for the section line, and then the other part of the L shows you the direction it's looking at. So this section drawing is actually looking in this view, so I need to basically rotate this 180 degrees. So this needs to rotate like this. And I need to rotate my text as well. Oh, I just dragged it. I should do copy paste. You could select this guy, use Alt, and then drag. Alt is copy, right? Holding Alt and dragging is copying it. And I need to place this somewhere on my drawing. So let's say it's going to be lined up here. Oh boy. Now, where was I? I was doing the section line. So what I'm going to do is replace the section, and the text would go up because that's the direction I'm looking at. And I will also choose these two, and I will flip them. If you go to transform, object, transform, reflect, I want to reflect them horizontal. And if you hit OK, it will basically flip the section marquee upwards. So this is how you should use it. And then once you replace it, you can delete this one. So it's kind of a magazine style basically, right? It's like just indicating where the section is cut. You don't have to draw a continuous line through the plan because they literally destroy the plan drawing. You want to just indicate where the section line is cut outside of the drawing and not on it. Okay? So I was just using that as a placeholder to replace. Now, let's say your drawing is fine, like your layout is all arranged. You have a few more drawings here as well, and like line weights all assigned. The last thing you would do is export this as a PDF to print it, and you will go to File, File, Save As, and file name is, let's say, Ortho, Assignment 1, A1 Ortho. And that's going to be Adobe PDF. Sorry. Adobe PDF. Save. PDF presets should be press quality. And this should be it. Let me see if there's anything else. There's anything else here. Save PDF. That's my first artboard, second artboard, third artboard, fourth artboard. Right? All of them are on different PDF pages. And you have to zoom in to see the line weights. The line weights are all assigned. Because of the density, it's showing it black. But when you print it, you'll get this line weight printed. Okay? So this is like you're going to do these sorts of layouts and prints a bunch of times until you get to the right like balance, like line weights and layouts. We're going to like be covering these a lot. But that's basically how you could draw stuff in Rhino, like draft in Rhino, bring it in Illustrator, assign line weights, do a preliminary layouting, and then save it as PDF to print. That's basically what we're covering for the first week. Okay? Alright, so now, like after you do this, you'll take it to the printer. It's 12 by 25. Then you can do File, Print. They will send it to the printer. Since it's a custom size, they need to be printed at the plotter. At the plotter, yeah, because it's 12 by 25. Yeah. Huh? Yes. Here is the other thing. If you want to do a test print, which you should do, this is what I would recommend. You could go to your artboards again. The template I gave you is for the final pinup, right? It has this final pinup dimensions. You could set up a new artboard here, and this one you can edit the dimensions to be 11 by 17, right? And let's say I'm gonna have a few of these. Now this guy is number 5, 6, and 7, and I can make a copy of this guy over there and make test prints. So I can put like my elevation there as well, right? So to test if my elevation is going to print right before I do the final print. And then these guys, I can save them. File, Save As, Adobe PDF again. Well, I can do test. And here, I can use artboards and I can specify a range. So I can specify from 5 to 7. And save. Press quality, save PDF. It's still printing. So this one, you'll be able to print it right here. You can send it through your computer right now and print it. Yeah, COA black and white. Yeah. So this is one tabloid. This is... Well, no, you can do tabloids for tomorrow. For the final, 12 by 25. And they will be mounted on foam boards. So we are literally doing exhibition quality, like already pristine, no glue, everything clear, nice line weights, nice graphics. Yeah. I think Charles will tell you what he needs tomorrow morning. I'm just assuming he may want to go over your drawings as well. So that's why if you need to print tabloids to show him your drawings, you can organize them this way. Right? Just like come in here to Illustrator, document setup, or you can do file new. This is easier. File new. You can specify a size here. Size is going to be tabloid. If I choose inches, 11 by 17, right? And how many artboards do I want? I want, let's say, 5 artboards. It will create 5 artboards for me, and I can bring my drawings here, copy paste, and then save it as a PDF and print it. Right? So the plotter and the laser printer here, they print separately. They print differently sometimes as well. So you may get surprises. So I would also recommend you to do a test print on the plotter before the final. But meanwhile, you can use the printer here. Okay. The first time you do this, it's going to be a bit tedious, but once you get the hang of it, it's going to be a really easy process. You're going to know what you're printing, how you're printing, what the size is, what the scale is, how to mount something to a foam board. I mean, it's going to be a bit of like a drill the first week, but we'll be doing the same thing every week, and it's going to feel like nothing after week 2. Okay? Oh, sure. Absolutely. So I basically had something like this, right? I did all my layout. Huh? I mean, I can also do a new file and copy paste my drawings there and just print them there as well as a separate file. I can do that. What I did was instead, I went to the document setup, went to edit artboards, and I created a new artboard here. And I think you may also choose tabloid. Like you could select the artboard and then go to presets and choose tabloid here, and it will assign the tabloid. You could even do it landscape as well. There are like some presets here. Vertical, horizontal. You can enter dimensions here. And you can use the Alt key to make copies. Right? And then if you want to copy your floor plan, choose your floor plan. Look at my cursor. It's switching from arrow to arrowhead, something like that. Do you guys see that? It's doing that when it's over geometry. If you want to copy the drawing, you need to be over the geometry. And then when you press Alt, you will see the double arrow. And then that's basically how you could copy it. So I can come in here, and then drag. That will make an exact copy of it.
So how did it do it so it's not copying only certain layers? That's what you were just saying, I'm sure.
The certain layers?
So when I did that, it only copied my wall layer, whatever I had selected, and then copied the whole image as one layer. I don't have it saved as one layer.
Well, I basically selected everything of the drawing, and then went over to one of the geometries that belong to that selection, and then hit Alt, and while holding Alt key, I'm dragging it to make a copy. And I can do this for any other type of drawing I want to print. So I can print one section, one elevation, one plan. Right? So I'm going to bring a copy of my section here. I'm going to bring a copy of my elevation here. And basically these are artboards. So if I go to document setup again, edit artboards, this is artboard number 4, this is 5, this is 6. If I want to save these as a PDF, I go to File, Save As, PDF, and I can select the range here. So if I want to print from 4 to 6, I can enter a custom range here. And that will give me that PDF with these tabloids on it. And that's printable in the laser printer.